Oh.
Years ago, you had long hair.
I sure did, yeah.
I didn't recognize you.
Yeah, it's hard to recognize me now.
That's a very long
People
time.
walk right by me now.
You guys,
I love it.
you guys, I was hanging out backstage getting ready to go home because I live here in New York, and all of a sudden I realized, like, whoops, I forgot about Tour Talk. Shit. So I grabbed my phone, and here I am. I have a special emergency intervention guest who is a good friend of the band, and he is, well, we'll get into it when we meet him. But thank you for being here. We're going to spend 3 minutes with my dear friend, Stephen Barrymore Blush. Hey, Steve.
How's it going?
I'm great. How are you?
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks so much. It's a pleasure to have you here. That's Steve. Let me give you a little background. Steve, in 1985, the very first tour that Faith No More ever did, we put out We Care a Lot. And the very first tour we did, we traveled around, which when Chuck was the singer, and we were promoting the record We Care a Lot. 1985 that
Correct.
was? I always
What
thought
was
it
the
was
1985 album?
Yeah, 1985 album. We had a 1966 Dodge truck and a trailer.
I remember that.
It was
story.
a real ramshackle scenario, but it was just us. We had one roadie, and we kind of worked our way across the country. And sort of our one sort of like goal that we had coming across the country and going all the way to New York was Steve here knew about us and booked us a show at this place called The World. Talk about The World a little bit. What was that like?
Wow. Okay, so I booked actually a bunch of shows of yours, which actually, should we go into the whole story? Or is that
Well,
a little
yeah,
too
you
long?
can. We only have 3 minutes. Just talk about The World for a second,
okay.
because here we are in New York
Okay, so
City,
anyway,
and
so
Steve
you-
still lives here in New York.
Yeah, so anyway, what I remember is you guys pulling up in your panel truck, and sort of like you close the back of it and say, "See you in 200
Right.
miles."
It had a camper shell.
Right.
Yeah.
And this place was like the ultimate in decadence. It was, I assume you were playing pretty small places on the tour at the time, and this place
Punk
held,
rock
like,
clubs, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And this was like held like 1,000 people, and
Yeah.
it was the ultimate decadent discotheque of the time, and it was drugs and sex and everything.
It was like Nirvana. We moved in. We pulled into New York, and I think we got paid like $1,000 for that show.
You did.
And for what we were doing back then, that was unheard of. It was crazy. We were getting like, maybe $200 for the most part, and then we would like sort of go on stage and we'd talk and we'd say like, hey, we would really find a couch to sleep on from the stage every night. That was sort of our MO. So when we got to New York, we knew we had this show that Steve booked. What other shows did you book on that tour? The 9:30 Club show, was that?
Yeah, and everything City Gardens.
Oh, right, City Gardens. That was a good one,
that was your
too.
first show, the first time I ever met you guys.
Was that with Ministry? That was
Yes,
that one?
that was with
Oh,
Ministry.
wow, that was so fun. Tell that story really quick, because this is a really fun story.
Well, Ministry, it was like the beginning of this new technology, and they had something called a Fairlight computer.
A Fairlight.
Right, and these things were worth like, what, about $50,000 in
Yeah.
cash back then, and
They were like, yeah, it was top notch, like really like high, expensive, like keyboard.
And here was the opening band, Faith No More, who was just basically like allowed like 2 feet of stage room so they wouldn't touch.
Yeah.
God forbid they touch, any gear of Ministries. And
Yeah.
I think you guys kind of wrecked them that
Yeah,
night. And that
but
was my-
let's just clear this up. This was when Ministry was disco.
That's correct.
This is not the Ministry that you know. There was nothing dark about Ministry back then. This is the Ministry that I really love. When Ministry was pop and, pretty gay. Like, for the most part, they
Very
were, like,
gay.
very dancey and very gay. But so, yeah, we got on stage with their expensive gear, which they refused to move. They refused to clear it off, even though we were, like, opening up. And I remember, like, Chuck was kind of fucking around with that Fairlight, the keyboard that Steve was talking about. I remember I reached over and pretended like I was playing at some point. And then Chuck did something with a beer. And then they were like, that's fucking it. They came on the PA and said, get your stuff and get out of the building now. And they kicked us off the stage, turned off the sound, and kicked us out of the building.
And that was the first time I ever met you guys.
Yeah.
And I fought for you guys and somehow got you paid, and then we became friends. And then there was the show at the World and the show at Danceteria and some shows in New Brunswick, New
I
Jersey.
forgot
and,
Danceteria, too.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was another big one. That was a
yeah,
high
you guys
paying
were
gig,
making
too,
$40 a night, and I think kind of saved your butt
Right.
that tour, but you guys saved my butt 20 times down the line. Too,
When
so
he
it's okay.
says $40 a night, literally the band would get paid $40 a night. That's cool.
It's true.
Anyway, Steve, thanks so much for talking to us.
And considering now here we are at Madison Square Garden.
And here
it's
we
like-
are. How crazy is that?
Yep.
Thanks, you guys, for liking us, because here we are at Madison Square Garden. Thanks so much. That's the end of Tour Talk for tonight. Tomorrow is dark. We have a night off. The night after tomorrow, I believe, is Toronto. So, same time after that show. Thanks for tuning in. We have a really special, fun guest planned for the Toronto Tour Talk. So see you then. Bye-bye now.